Hello, wonderful artist. Thank you so much for coming back for another Art Life Conversations podcast. I am your host and sharer on this podcast, Kelli Folsom. I am those of you who are new to me, I'm a full-time artist, have been for about 15 years. And teacher and coach and mentor to artists, both for learning art skills, specifically with representational art, and also building their art business, specifically for any visual artist. So today we actually have a great topic, which is 3 tips on how to find the art shows to enter specifically for representational artists. And this comes from a topic that an anonymous, someone who wishes to remain anonymous, sent in, and they said, "Hello, Kelli. I love how honestly and practically you elaborate on your thoughts in the podcast. They are really helpful. You're welcome. Is it possible for you to talk about the place of representational, realistic, or impressionistic art in today's world? I see a lot of people buying abstract art these days. Also, a lot of popular art and competition winner art happen to be abstract. Are we headed in that direction? It would be interesting and helpful to hear your thoughts about it." So yes, so first I just want to say I'm going to give everybody who maybe is a representational artist and you're having a hard time finding communities, finding shows, buyers, things of that nature, but specifically for this podcast, art shows, right? I'm going to be giving you 3 tips. But I do want to address these questions first from this viewer, and that is, representational art has been around for centuries. I mean, even the very first cave paintings, you could say, were representational art, depicting things that we see in this reality, in this outer reality, paintings of, bison and things like that on the cave. So representational art is one of the longest, has longevity. Abstract art, things of that nature, installations, art like that is pretty new, right? Like it's been around, I would say, since probably starting maybe in the 1920s. So we're talking maybe 100 years, at the beginning of it. And so there is obviously a place for both art forms in today's time. Now, I think, right now I can see where some of that external phenomenon could give us the messages that maybe representational art is no longer valid and everybody likes abstract art now, and everybody's into, that kind of art now and not into representational art. And I just think that is straight up a lie. Every single day I talk with artists who are interested in representational art, both making it and selling it and buying it, right? And showing it. So representational art is still alive, and I think it will always be alive because, human beings just have this need to relate to visual imagery, and not to say that they don't relate to it with the abstract work, because they relate to it in a different way, people who relate to that. And of course, in both kind of art types of art, I think people can buy art for there's no wrong reason, but they'll buy art for different reasons. Like maybe they feel more comfortable buying abstract art because it'll go in any room of their house or it'll match any color. But people do that with representational art as well. So again, this is kind of similar. Bethany had emailed in something a while back about the economy, and should she be worried about starting an art business in an economy that is struggling right now, or should she just wait? So a lot of these things are external factors, and I'm not saying that they don't exist and that they're not real, but we also can choose to also not react to them out of fear or out of worry. So I just feel that representational art will always have a place in the art world and always have a place with humanity, and probably from here on out, of course, abstract art will too, just because it is serving a different need, as I believe as human beings are, growing and evolving on this planet, and new technologies and all the new things, and the rise of human psychology and all of that. I think there's a place for both. I honestly do. My first love will probably always be for representational art, but I even don't want to pin myself down to that, because who knows what's going to happen in my life and how I'm going to evolve in the future, right? So anyways, so to address that question, I definitely think there is a place. I don't know if we're in what direction we're heading in. I can probably say that now that it's here, that abstract art I think all art is conceptual, but I know that that's a term that they use to refer to some of that kind of art. Now that it's here, I think it will always be here, right? And same thing with representational art. I don't think the one negates the other. Sometimes as human beings, we have such a way of looking at things very black and white and going, well, this is going to get rid of this. And it's not like technology. Art is so expressive, and it's such a human expression, and so it's very human, and it thrives on what is relatable to other humans. So it's not like technology, like a computer replacing a typewriter, or a typewriter replacing handwriting. You know what I mean? So it's always going to be a matter of what are people relating to more, or what are people desiring more in the art. So let's dive into 3 tips. And sometimes whenever I read things like that, it makes me wonder. If sometimes people can be putting their art in the wrong worlds, in the wrong sphere, So we want to set ourselves up for success as an artist. So if you're a representational artist or an abstract artist, you do want to be mindful of what you're choosing to participate in. What groups are you in? What shows are you entering? Are they a right fit for you? It would be kind of like it would be kind of like you're a fish. Like a fish out, you don't want to be a fish out of water, right? So your best chances of success are really fitting in to some degree into that show or into that artist community, right? Now, I do think there is a danger whenever we fit in too much and we only expose ourselves to only, that one particular kind of art, whether it's abstract or representational art. I think that there are things to be appreciated in both and learn from both. So I just want to give that little caveat that I think there is a danger there if it's always just like, this is all there is. It is the only art. This is the only best art and right art, right? Okay. So 3 tips. If you are a representational artist, how to find more appropriate art shows that will be a better fit for your art. And there's all different kinds of art shows, right? There's art festivals, art fairs, there's juried art shows, there's invited art shows, there's museum art shows, so there's, belonging to co-ops and things like that. So the first tip is you want to seek out a representational artist network. Okay, you want to make sure that you are belonging to enough representational artist groups. Maybe it's an art association, like there's Oil Painters of America, which is a traditional representational artist organization. So there's all kinds of different memberships like that. American Impressionist Society, National Acrylic and Oil Painter Society. There's all kinds of different organizations like that you could join as a member. You can go to their events. You can meet other representational artists. You can expand your representational artist network. As I say, right, like the size of your network is usually equal to the size of your net worth, right? So if you can, but more importantly than that, if you can get yourself in a community of like-minded artists who maybe, your style fits in a bit more with them, then you're most likely going to be able to utilize that network to find out about other shows and get information, from that network, and get opportunities from that network as well. Once you can locate some other representational artists who you feel like your work is kind of similar to, you want to look at their resumes. You want to see what shows have they been in. That's what I used to do. That was like the fastest, easiest way for me to find all kinds of different shows. I would look at representational artists from all across the country, and look at their resumes. What shows? Oh, I'd never even heard of that show. I'm going to look that one up. Maybe that's one that I can enter and participate in. So look at their resumes, or simply ask them, send them an email, see if they respond, talk to them at a gallery show or at an event or something like that, to ask about shows that they, love doing. And hopefully they are generous enough, to share that information with you. And if they're not, you could just look at their resumes or CVs, right? So, and then step 3 is like looking at, art magazines. I mean, that's how I would oftentimes back in the day find artists. And of course now we have Instagram, right? But way back when, back in 2011, whenever I was first starting out as an artist, I would get, all the different representational artist magazines, and I would just be writing down names of artists. Wow, okay, they did an editorial with this artist. Sometimes they'd be advertising art shows right there in the magazine. So I'd be like, oh, okay, here's a show that I can look up and possibly enter. And then oftentimes in the back of the magazine, they would have a list of shows and resources and offerings there, opportunities in the backs of the magazines as well. Now, a lot of times nowadays, a lot of those magazines are still around, actually, still being sold, like in Barnes & Noble. I know a lot of them are struggling, with online, everything being online, and some of them have moved everything online. So you might have to, do some Googling, the great Googling to find out. You could also Google different representational art organizations, things like that. There's art organizations out there specifically for women artists. I know I'm involved in those. I even donate an award every year to one, a cash award, because artists need money. And so those are my 3 tips. And then also you can use websites, show websites. So a lot of these shows will actually host, choose these websites to put all of their information on the show. I'm just going to read some of these off for you. Artshows.com, Juried Art. This is your bonus 4th tip. But I like even numbers, so I did 3 tips. Okay. Artshows.com, Juried Art Services, callforentry.org, fairandfestivals.net, Zapplication is one, artfaircalendar.com, artfairinsiders.com. So these are just also some bonus like websites, if you weren't aware of them, that you could go to. You can check out, see what's available. It kind of depends on what kind of shows you're interested in participating in. And the other thing is, I would just look at the past history of the shows. Make sure, look at, most of them have their online catalogs from like past shows online in their archive that you can check out. So just double check, go through and look and see, if there's enough kind of similar representational art to your own. And some shows might have a mix. Some shows might have a mix of representational art and abstract art. So just make sure that your work would be, fit in, right? Because whatever the bulk of the work is, those are also the kind of work that the buyers are expecting to see whenever they come to that show. So if that show is filled with abstract work and you're the only representational artist, well, you could give it a shot. Who knows? Maybe it will be a refreshing change of pace for people, But also the outcome could end up being that, people who are coming to the show love abstract art and that's all they want and that's all they want to buy. So it might be a goose egg too, right? So chances are that, people are expecting to see a certain thing and that's also what they're prepared to buy in most cases. So it's usually better if you kind of fit in more or less with the show. All right, everybody, artists, I hope that this has been helpful to you. Thank you so much for being here and listening. You can hop over to www.artlifewithkelli, KELLI.com, and you can check out all the resources I have for you there. I've got some free resources. You can check out information about my Art Life School program, also the Art Stars Business Breakthrough Retreat that I will host here in Denver in the fall. And so you can find out all the details for all the things over there at artlifewithkelli.com. You can also send me a message about this podcast through that website. There's a contact button there, so just click that and you can send in comments, your thoughts about these podcast episodes, as well as giving me ideas for anything that you are needing help with in any regard in your art life. It could be business or not. I just happen to be getting a lot of business questions lately. So anyways, here to help. Thank you everybody for being here and wishing you all a happy creating.